Tonight, on Wildlife at the Zoo, a young giraffe goes on an epic journey to start a family.
So she might have seasickness.
But she'll have to survive 5 days on a cargo ship and unseasonable storms to get there. And one of the oldest Kodiak bears in the world battles to keep moving.
She actually responds to voice commands. We say touch when I'm about to trim. Touch. Yep.
The first giraffe came to Australia in 1926. There are now around 300 giraffe in zoos here and in New Zealand, and keepers need to make sure that inbreeding doesn't occur. That's why this young female giraffe has to leave her family at Taronga's Western Plains Zoo at Dubbo and embark on a journey that will take her 850 kilometres on land, then 2,500 kilometres or over 1,400 nautical miles by cargo boat to start a new life at Auckland Zoo.
I kind of know what we're in for a little bit. This one here has no idea. That might be a good thing. She's leaving all her relatives, but she's going to go and start her own family tree in New Zealand.
Karaka can't breed here because she's related to all the available males.
The regional breeding program of giraffe, we have to mix and match genetics and things like that, so she's certainly not just going for the joyride.
Transporting a giraffe is no easy task given her size and shape. For the length of the 7-day journey, Karaka will be exchanging the wide open spaces of Dubbo for a 5 by 3 metre crate.
Up the top here are 2 feed chutes. One is where her pellets will go, and of course she'll need water. And you'll notice these bits of timber lined through the whole bottom of the box, and this prevents the giraffe from tripping. It also is big enough for her to sit down, so she'll still be able to have a sleep. A giraffe doesn't sleep standing up, it sleeps sitting down with its legs folded in underneath, and it only sleeps for 20 minutes every 24 hours.
Karaka. Cheeky.
Karaka's used to taking her breakfast inside the crate, but today she won't be coming out.
Hey Mark, it's Mandy. Can I...
Yeah, that's Karaka in the box.
This is the first of many intense little steps, but she's good.
As keepers load 7 days worth of grains, lucerne hay, carrots and specially selected eucalyptus leaves, vet Alyssa prepares her emergency kit for any eventuality on the trip.
The giraffe might become distressed during transport. You know, there's always a risk of an accident happening. Some of these are sedatives and anaesthetic drugs. We've also got a variety of different antibiotics. You know, if she was to develop any kind of respiratory infection or coughing or any kind of wound. In the event of a severe emergency, we do carry euthanasia drugs that we can administer to her if required.
It's all right, baby girl.
Karaka's trans-Tasman journey begins on the back of a truck. And there's a reason why the journey has to start now.
Karaka's approaching 2 years of age, and the reason why we're moving her now is her height. She's just under 3.5 metres, and the only way we can move them is by road, and that's quite tricky due to all the bypasses, the tunnels and what have you, so they don't cater for 5 metre high loads these days. But when you look at it this time next week, she'll be a New Zealander.
Roger and Alyssa will be accompanying Karaka every step of the way to the port of Melbourne and then on to Auckland. It could be a hazardous journey with unseasonable gales forecast for the Tasman Sea.
She's a little restless and she's starting to lean just slightly against the wall of the crate.
13 hours after she left Dubbo, Karaka's arrived at the Melbourne docks. Now keepers want to check her health to see if she's fit for the sea journey tomorrow.
Looks very sleepy.
Tired like us.
Yep.
She just looks like she's ready just to have some time out and have something to eat and soak in what's happened today. It's been a big day for her. And it's going to get bigger tomorrow. It's like a schmacko for a dog, I guess. We'll see.
A loss of appetite would be the first sign that all is not well.
You're fine, you're fine.
Although she accepts food and water, Karaka is far from happy.
She is stressed. The sign of stress with Giraffe is when they toss their head back. She's done too in the last few minutes, so.
I guess standing on her feet all day, balancing as we're moving, is a bit tiring for her. So hopefully she'll lay down and have a rest. She may not do that tonight, but we're going to give her a bit of quiet time shortly.
You're a good girl.
Hey, Missy.
You're a good girl. It was a little cold. We got some sleep and Karaka got some rest. She ate some hay and ate some pellets and maybe had a little drink. Elisa thinks she might have taken a sleep for a little while. She's got a lot going on in her world again, so that's beating the tiredness right now.
A ship is waiting to transport Karaka to New Zealand, but she won't be going anywhere unless she gets the all clear from the government vets.
She's just doing the final quarantine inspection before we seal up the crate, ready to go. So she's just got to have a look at Karaka and make sure that she's healthy and fit to travel. How'd you go?
She's just got the little...
Yeah, she had a little abrasion there that's healing.
You've done that, looks good though.
Yep. Yep, excellent.
Very nice.
So we're good to go?
Good to go.
Karaka, her crate, and the flat rack containing her food will now be lifted 50 metres onto the vessel. It's the beginning of a sea journey that nearly didn't happen.
We approached pretty much every shipping line that went across to New Zealand and nearly all of them rejected the request. It took months of negotiating with Maersk to actually get them to agree to take the booking.
Karaka's on her own for this critical part of the journey. If she panics now, Roger can't get to her.
She's got a lot on her mind. I mean, she's, like a lot of zoo animals, lived a fairly sheltered lifestyle, so what is the world throwing at her right now?
Slowly, Karaka gets her bearings.
That's a view she's never seen before.
I'm just admiring the world. She's going to be tall when she gets older, but she'll never be that tall. She's doing amazingly well. Very proud of her.
No one on the vessel has ever seen anything quite like this before. Karaka's crate is positioned on the open deck, just below the bridge, where she will spend the entire journey.
We're just waiting for some containers to be loaded either side of her to create a bit of a windbreak. And I'm just hanging out with her, just getting her to relax a little, and she's eating carrots, so that's a good sign.
The crossing to New Zealand was timed to occur when the Tasman Sea is usually at its calmest. But as the ship leaves Melbourne, the latest forecast is for unseasonable storms.
Oh, I'm more worried for her at this stage. I know what we're about to go through. She doesn't. But seasickness is a bit of an unknown for all of us.
At Taronga Zoo, there's one animal who's not moving around much at all. At 35, Bethel is one of the oldest Kodiak bears alive. In human years, she's around 90.
Bethel is very special. She is an icon of the zoo. She is the last remaining Kodiak bear in the region. So it's critical that we give her lots of TLC in her ageing years because we want her around for a lot longer.
Bethel's mobility is partly affected by her long claws.
Basically, she doesn't do as much digging as she used to as a young bear, so what we're actually going to do is trim her claws, so it's easier for her to walk around. All right, Bethel. Bethel, come here, sweetie.
Bears are considered more intelligent than dogs, and Bethel willingly cooperates.
We've actually trained her to put her paws up on the mesh. Foot. That's it, perfect.
Touch.
And she actually responds to voice commands. We say touch when I'm about to trim.
Touch. Good.
The word good is the bridge, so she knows she's going to get a reward.
Touch. Good.
Yep. As you can see, she's not too worried about it at all.
Good. Touch.
So what we do, we actually give her a rest in between because she's an old bear. So we just ask her paw to come back down, then reposition her paw again so I can get a better go at it with trimmers.
Touch. Good. It's great for Bethel interacting with the training session. She's being mentally stimulated, and physically it's great for her as well. She'll be able to move around much more freely and easily. Good.
After her manicure, Bethel receives fish oil tablets designed to alleviate her arthritis.
Fish oil is supposed to help with joint health, heart health, brain health. So she gets around about 10 a day of these capsules. All done.
Good girl, Bethel.
Keepers are concerned without this type of treatment, Bethel will be unable to enjoy some of the features of her exhibit.
We're filling the pond. Bethel loves the pond. She loves getting in there, bobbing around. We can throw food in there. So it's a great activity for her.
But as her arthritis worsens, this year Bethel may find getting into the pond too hard.
You know, just we get older, and obviously getting downstairs just for people in general. It's the same with Bethel. We have to make sure that she can get in and out of the pond.
Justine will keep a close eye on the 35-year-old to see if the treatment is successful. "24 hours out of Melbourne and with 3 more days to go, the ship taking Karaka to New Zealand has sailed into a trans-Tasman storm.
Bit breezy out here.
Alyssa and Roger haven't been allowed on the deck before now and are anxious to see how she's coping.
Morning, little girl. Climbing this ladder could be interesting. Good morning. How are you?
Bit crazy this weather, huh?
Karaka doesn't seem to have touched any of her food since she left Melbourne.
Hasn't eaten or hasn't drunk. She's got big eyes right now. There's a lot of noise here at the moment, and we're rocking and rolling a little bit, but it's probably the most wound up she's been. Her mind is busy, I guess. Giving her something to eat.
Unless Karaka eats something, she'll begin to lose her strength.
You want this? You gotta eat something. If she doesn't eat a carrot, we'll know she's not feeling too good. Come here, miss.
Normally, Karaka eats around 20 kilos of food a day and never refuses a carrot.
You don't even want your carrots. No. So yes, she might have seasickness.
It's likely the ship's rocking motion has left Karaka feeling nauseous and out of sorts. And she could get a lot worse. According to the weather report, the storm's about to intensify.
You can see the forecast. You can see that the low pressure system is coming down and it will be on our route maybe by tomorrow, and it will pass us later tomorrow in the day.
Two days out of Melbourne and 2 days to go to Auckland. Karaka's sailed into a worsening storm. She's never experienced anything remotely like this. And neither has Roger. The winds are now gusting at 60 knots. Karaka has to maintain her balance as the vessel lurches violently.
Looks similar to yesterday. Maybe a little stronger. The sea seems choppier today. It's still got a big roll, but it's chopped up as well, so.
Karaka hasn't slept properly since she left Dubbo, and she's showing signs of stress.
Karaka. You're not interested, are you? Okay, she's not interested in carrots again. Karaka hasn't eaten breakfast or had a drink still. She's really not interested at the moment.
Captain says she's too much rolling now.
The captain wants us to go back inside. It's too rolly.
The deck is cleared before vet Alyssa has a chance to check Karaka.
I was hoping to get up on the front of the crate and have a bit of a better look at her and just check that she hasn't banged her legs or anything like that, but hopefully if the weather improves, we'll be able to do that later on.
So far this summer, Bethel has avoided her pool, something she loved in previous years. At 35 years of age, she's around 5 years older than the oldest Kodiak bears living in the wild, and keepers are constantly devising new ways of trying to keep her mentally and physically active.
So by putting high-value items such as fig, she's got to get the food out, so she'll be batting this around, so it keeps her nice and active. We've got a bit of honey, smear that over the tub. It's no lie when they say bears love honey, so we can place this all over the exhibit, and that way she's got to find every spot of honey. We can't put honey up too high in the exhibit because she has got arthritis. She can't stand on her hind legs anymore. Just like elderly people, you want to do more exercise, so this gets her moving around and quite active.
Despite her arthritic hips, Bethel heads straight for her food.
This is what we want. We want her moving around for a good hour and a half. The longer, the better. It's better for her. It's all good for her joints and keeping her weight down and her mental activity as well.
But once again today, she's avoiding the pond. If she can manage climbing in and out of the water, keepers will be comforted she's in tip-top health. On the vessel taking Karaka to New Zealand, day 4 dawns, and so does the good weather. For the first time since the storm, keepers are able to check if Karaka's regained her appetite. She hasn't eaten properly since Melbourne.
There you go, good girl. It's the first carrot she's taken in about 2 days, so that's good. She's getting the sea legs. Good girl, good girl. So she's eating today, which is good. That's the best appetite she's had for 2 days, so that's really good. It makes me relax a little more. Oh, little girl.
Karaka's making up for lost time, devouring branches of eucalyptus and hay.
Different giraffe to yesterday. We want to see some attitude and some bright eyes and sharp senses. That makes me feel a lot better than I did this time yesterday, that's for sure.
Hey, Dylan.
And Alyssa is finally getting a chance to see if Karaka has injured her leg during the storm.
She doesn't have any scrapes or cuts or anything on her. She did have a little wound on her side, which happened a few weeks ago. She scraped herself on a fence before she left, and that still looks the same. She hasn't opened it up or anything.
Feeling alert and more relaxed, Karaka gets her first whiff of land just before it appears on the horizon.
I've seen Karaka having a rest this morning. She actually sat down for about an hour, so that's her first break. She's obviously learning to cope with it all.
Give it outside.
Engine stop now.
Okay.
Woken up this morning and we're in Auckland. We're in the harbour. We're about to disembark the ship and Karaka's got to take the last little stage of her journey.
Stop engine.
Stop engines.
Stop engine.
She was any bigger and she wouldn't have fitted in that crate. So that's why we had to get her over here now.
After the customs formalities are over, Karaka is about to be lifted by crane onto land. This time the crate has to be detached from the flat rack, which could make it less steady.
There's a little bit of wind, so she's swinging ever so slightly. I'll be glad when this bit's done. This is probably one of the most intense bits of the whole journey. Yeah. She had 2 days of that, so she doesn't need that anyway.
It all gets too much. Karaka tosses her head back, a sign she's becoming stressed.
She's got a lot on her mind right at the moment. There's lots of stimulus around here that's got her curious about what's going on, that's for sure.
Karaka's taken immediately from the docks to her new home at Auckland Zoo.
Yeah, it'll be good to get her out of the box.
Oh, yeah.
She's ready.
It always is.
Well, you can see she's pretty alert. She's looking around, she's seeing what's going on. For all the stuff that's just happened to her, she's doing really well at the moment.
Good girl.
Got New Zealand brows.
Yeah,
Should be supporting the All Blacks next.
that might take time.
There's a danger that after being confined to a crate for so long, Karaka will rush out and hurt herself. Instead, after 4 days at sea, she seems to be finding her balance.
I think she had sea legs for a minute there.
I think she does. I've still got them. She took it easy. Sometimes animals can come out a little too quick. So she's been a star the whole way.
She looks good.
She's only a baby.
So far, so good. But there are 2 other giraffe here, and no one knows if they will accept or reject Karaka. Back at Taronga, it's the first really hot day of summer. And Bethel's finally taken the plunge.
She can't actually stand in that pond, so she has to either swim or make herself buoyant to be that height, so she's sort of floating up. Seeing her in the pool swimming, it shows that she's doing very well for a 35-year-old. There's lots of room in that pond for her to move around, you know, gets her weight off her paws. Now she's doing her snorkeling, and that's a natural behaviour she would do in the wild. When the salmon are swimming upstream to breed, bears actually submerge their head under the water except for their ears. This allows her to hear what's actually going on around her. So when she's hunting for the salmon in the wild, she can open her eyes underwater and grab those salmon. So they're good hunters. She gets in there also to lose that winter coat. She's giving her coat a really good rub, and she basically gets her old fur out and the beautiful summer coat comes through. And here she goes now. She's deciding I've had enough. So 240 kilos. She does pretty well to get in and out of there. So we'll obviously continue to do what we have been doing, lots of exercise, mental stimulation as well. And that all helps the ageing process. So lots of TLC. Hello, little girl.
At Auckland Zoo, Karaka the giraffe has been settling in for 2 months now.
She's a really easygoing little giraffe. We're really happy with her. She's got a really nice personality. She spent a month in quarantine by herself, just as a requirement. The month that she was alone was a little bit stressful for her, but she's cleared all her tests with flying colours and has now been integrated into the paddock with all the zebra, the ostrich, and also with the other 2 resident giraffes.
At first, the introductions didn't go well.
Unfortunately, our male viewed Karaka as another male, as a competing male, so he gave her a bit of strife for a little while there and was quite aggressive towards her. Luckily for us, Karaka is such a nice animal. She was able to cope with it really well and sort of just took it all in her stride. And now Zabulu's completely obsessed with her. I think he's fallen head over heels in love. She's obviously not sexually mature yet, so she's not thinking about babies or anything, whereas Zabulu pretty much checks her out every 5 minutes or so. Little does he know that he's got a couple of years to wait yet. We're really happy with how things are going at the moment, and you know, we hope maybe in a couple of years that they'll be parents.
Next week on Wildlife at the Zoo. Rejected by his father, a young male gorilla leaves France to begin his life as the new silverback at Taronga Zoo.
He is very nervous. He saw the aircraft crew and he's starting to row it.